Hello everybody and welcome to the Pretty Good Gamer Podcast. This is episode number 92. Hello, our Croissant podcast Reeve now they die. My name is Mr. Gareth Evans and joining me today is Mr. Henry, don't call me ignorant, you little fucking weasel, Cooper.
I'm not ignorant, I'm smart. I know everything.
Yeah.
And definitely don't make... Well, it's not even a typo. I definitely don't dyslexically type my title of a video backwards and completely ruin it for a solid fucking 10 minutes before I clocked it.
Yeah, you certainly did. There was enough comments and reactions to
engagement, didn't
that. You should do every time. I always make.
Well, that's I played it off that it was real. It was deliberate to mimic the insanity of the sinking city
situation. Yeah. Well, I think you got away with it. Nobody noticed, Henry. I don't think, apart from all the comments. But there you go.
Thing is, there was one main comment that it was said. Well, I'll read it now rather than saving this later. From Mike Held, the title of this video is confusing as fuck, and he posted it, and I was like, okay, then I fixed it. He continued to get likes after the fact I'd fixed it, and I was like, well, there's nothing confusing about the new title. The new title is fine.
I mean, the internet never forgets. That's the lesson.
That's
Henry.
True.
Doesn't matter what you changed it.
Part of me wanted to just leave it, but then my English language degree clawed out at me.
So you titled it "The Sinking City Hack Developer Bites on Publisher." The Sinking City Hacked Developer Bites on Publisher. That was the original title, which was then remedied to something less confusing, but only partially less confusion.
Only partially, apparently.
So yeah, that was one of the videos from this week. We'll get talking about that later on, probably. I mean, there's an update in today's.
It's been daily. There's been a constant new thing every single day, and it's the only thing going on in the world this week. It's been super, super quiet.
Yeah. So we've got an update to that in today's show, as well as talking of slow news days. There's another Nintendo Switch update rumored. So this must be the 10th or 11th time that the Nintendo Switch Pro, or the Nintendo Switch Heavy, is what I like to call it, because they brought out a Nintendo Switch Lite. So if they're going on weight, then the souped up one should be called the Nintendo Switch Heavy, and that's apparently rumored now. And more sources by Bloomberg. We'll get into that too, whether it's true or valid or not. That we'll leave that up to you. But we'll talk about what's been said. After that, we've got some questions from the Patreon supporters on the Discord channel. And then instead of the Triggered Fanboy comment of this week, we didn't find one because Henry's been super nice apparently all week. We've got the not super gushy, just a bit kind comment of the week.
It's just a little bit nice, a little bit sweet, but not completely fawning over my brilliance.
Yeah, so that's the working title this week. And then after that, we'll be taking other YouTube comments that perhaps weren't as nice, and then the bad dad joke of the week to finish off. But first up, let's get through this Nintendo Switch rumor. Apparently, it's been rumored since the beginning of ages, beginning of time, since man walked the planet for the first time. That they whispered in each other's ears since they formulated language that there was a new Nintendo Switch coming.
Grunting.
Switch! Nintendo Switch. Yeah, and apparently there's another rumor now, just to cap it all off. And this one comes from Bloomberg's, not Jason Schreier, Takashi Mochizuki, and he reports that according to his insiders, who are, quotes, familiar with the plan, this updated Nintendo Switch will feature a 7-inch 720p Samsung OLED display. So the source of this leak apparently is from Samsung, from what I can gather, and they're beginning this production in June. And the Switch the new Switch will be released for the holiday season, which will be Christmas by the end of the year. So they have an initial monthly target of just under 1 million units from June. So they should have 6-7 million by come Christmas time, hopefully. Just enough for the scalpers to take full benefit of and leave us with F all, just like as usual. However, it is a 720p screen in handheld mode, but it will come with a 4K ultra high definition graphics in TV mode, is what they call it. So you will get 4K. Apparently, according to these new rumors, like I said, pinch of salt. There's rumors every other week about this. It's definitely a slow news week, that's for sure. this getting picked up.
Tell me about it.
So one of the quotes from Yoshio Tamura, the co-founder of display consultancy DSCC, he says, quote, "The OLED panel will consume less battery, offer higher contrast and possibly faster response time when compared with the Switch's current liquid crystal display, or LCD." So this is in direct contrast to what Nintendo president Shuntaro Furukawa said in February, and he said his company has no plans to announce a new Switch, quotes, anytime soon. So, take that what you will. The Nintendo president said not even a month ago that they've got no plans to announce something. This insider leak information from wherever they got it from says there is one coming. So who do you believe? And this marks, actually, it was yesterday as the time of recording, March the 3rd, was the 4th anniversary of the original Nintendo Switch's launch. So good timing to release another console. So we've heard it all before, Henry.
Yeah. That's where I stand with all of this. I'm like, oh yeah, cool. But I've done this dance so many times now. I'm getting serious deja vu of some insider with alleged sources saying, oh, they're doing this, it's going to have these specific specs, we've got this actual information, and then Nintendo just say, yeah, no, we're not doing it.
The difference is this time there's no hardware other than the screen. There's no hardware specs or anything, right? And the question that gets me is, like, this has been leaked to Bloomberg, or Bloomberg's insiders. Bloomberg, primarily a financially focused outlet based on stocks and shares and company values and all that
They're
shit.
business focused, aren't they?
So I wonder, the cynic in me says that maybe they've got people just leaking this shit out just to get people interested in the stocks, right? That would make sense.
Yeah, I mean, I could see. I mean, a company
doesn't
like
have to be
Nintendo,
true, does it?
Enormous. Yeah, just say let's just put a little feeler out to Bloomberg, and then all of the Wall Street guys who read Bloomberg will be Nintendo's going to do something in the next couple of months.
Snap up some shares on that.
Snag a couple, why not? Yeah, I could totally see that happening. I mean, again, it's a total conspiracy theory, cynic-y thing to think, but I totally believe that happens all the fucking time.
Absolutely.
Most leaks will be not even necessarily a full leak, but just a little feeler out, just to see if the market is interested.
So the biggest kind of point for me is that they're upgrading the screen from 6.2 inch, which is on the regular Nintendo Switch, to a 7-inch. Hopefully they're getting rid of the bezels, which will mean more screen real estate for playing on as well. So that will mean a significant increase in the screen size over the original one. However, it's only 720p, and this is what some of the biggest criticisms are on Twitter and online that I've seen so far. New phones, they're coming with 1440p, 120 hertz, and they're smaller than that, right? A lot of them.
Honestly,
is this enough?
When I saw it in this. Honestly, when I saw it in this this document, my brain automatically thought that was you listing the current setup of, like, that's currently what it can do, not the new one. And I was a bit like, are you sure? I mean, okay, 4K in the TV, cool, yeah, nice. But part of the appeal of the Switch is to switch it and have it in handheld. I play almost exclusively in handheld. Well, no, that's not true. It does depend on the game, I suppose. But I play a lot in handheld, and I don't want to be playing on a significantly worse screen.
Well, yeah, and the nature of how the Switch works is that the processor only works at something like 40% capacity. I'm probably wrong with that figure, but it doesn't work at full capacity when it's in handheld mode because it wants to save battery. It doesn't want to...
Yeah. I'd never expect 4K in handheld to do something so demanding, but 720 is a bit...
You expect more than 720.
It's not exactly a premium,
especially since phones are doing it, and they're coming in a smaller form factor with smaller batteries, and they manage to do it. Yeah, if you play a game on a phone in 1440p to 120 hertz, maybe the battery only lasts half an hour or something. I don't know specifically, but and this is obviously still conjecture based on the fact that these rumors may or may not be true, but it's definitely a Nintendo thing to do, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it totally is. It totally is. I mean, they've not got any... they've no heavy hitters coming out anytime soon based on the Direct anyway. It seems like they're having a pretty quiet 2021. Most companies are, to be fair. It's a new console generation. No one really quite knows what these new systems can do or how hard they can push them. So let's just throw out a little breadcrumb trail, see if people like it. We'll pop up our stock price maybe 0.5%.
Yeah.
And then we'll be winning.
The question is for me, will it be worth buying? If it is just 720p, yeah, they're going from the LCD screen to the OLED. And it's not going to be the squishy screen. It's going to be like a hard screen, and because apparently they're cheaper to make now. Will it be worth the upgrade? If there's the question for me will be, what other upgrades come with it? Will there be additional hardware upgrades, and are they going to be significant?
Will there be Joy-Cons that work?
Yeah, Joy-Cons that work, and that are like real, actual adult human beings size, because those little things you need like little 5-year-old hands to operate properly. So that would be a great update, as well as bigger battery, better processor, faster performance. All the bells and whistles essentially. We are talking 2021 now. We are living in the year 2021. These things are out there. These things are doable, and the thing like the Nvidia Shield has been doing a better version of Nintendo Switch for so higher tech. Better performance for so long that the question is Nintendo bothered about that though? Or they're not bothered about specs and performance really. They just want to sell their Mario games and their Zelda games.
Yeah, Nintendo very much, they're so big and they've been around so long, they can just play their own game, and they've got their core user base who will continue to buy up everything. There's a reason Pokemon still sells like mad, even though they haven't innovated properly in years, because they don't need to. People can complain, I haven't played Pokemon for years because I want them to be different. But they're not going to because they don't need to. It's a waste of time for them. So they're happy to sell, assuming any of this is true, they'd be happy to sell this 720-inch screen that, it can go up to 4K, because people will still probably buy it. Assuming it's like sensibly priced in comparison to the other one, because nothing Nintendo does is sensibly priced. You can still buy Breath of the Wild for 50 quid.
That is true. Whether the question on 4K is like, it might do 4K, but 15 frames a second just isn't enough. Not in this day and age again. But it's not something that Nintendo would care about. Like, it does 4K. It says so on the box. That's all that matters, right?
Done. I wrote it on the box, so it's true.
The Joy-Cons are there. They don't have to work, but they're there. It says so on the box. But that's Nintendo all over.
And you get two. You get
two.
But
if it happens to break, it's £60 for a new one. Just one. But there you go. That's Nintendo. And those are the latest rumours. I would take this with a pinch of salt. I would like it to happen. I wouldn't be 100% excited, even if it did happen, because I want to see some significant improvements on the new high-end Switch. Because, a few years down, it should be Nintendo Switch 2 by now, right? It's 4 years since the original. It's about time for a new Nintendo console. They do one every 4 or 5 years in general, but look back at the catalogue of consoles that they've released. So the timing should be near, and let's just see what they do with it. Hopefully it's not just a big brother, it's a new generation.
I like that. They should put that on the box.
Yes.
It's not just a big brother, it's a new generation. As it echoes away.
That's it. With a click at the end. And there we have it. That's the Nintendo Switch situation dealt with. Now, Henry, kind of worms time. Sinking City is a sinking situation for the developers and the publisher of the game. You covered it in a single dedicated video this week. There was an update in the Daily Triple the day after, and now there's been another update. The publishers have responded. So briefly run through the situation before we jump in to the update today.
Chances are that by the time you're watching this on Sunday anyway, there might be another update, so who bloody knows. So the Sinking City, it's a game. It's like a spooky Lovecraftian detective game. You solve mysteries and you kind of go insane and weird stuff happens. It's developed by a company called Frogwares. I'm pretty sure they are from the Ukraine. And the game launched, I think, in 2019, but I can't remember. And I think it had some Epic exclusivity, and it was only on PlayStation. Don't think it's on Xbox yet. But the reason it's a problem now is because the publisher has allegedly, I mean, that's the caveat to all this, allegedly, I believe it happened, but it is alleged, that the publisher pirated the game so that they could continue selling it, even though there's this huge legal dispute. And the legal dispute is basically around the developer Frogwares accuses Nacon, or Nacon, I can't quite, the pronunciation seems to flip-flop. Nacon's the publisher, Frogwares the developer. Frogwares is alleging that they withheld royalties, they have been trying to seize ownership, a bunch of different legal stuff that was sort of sorted, but it's still quite an open case in October just gone. But now, so that kind of said, all right, Frogwares, you can't just remove the game from sale, because Nacon does have some rights in that regard, but then Nacon, you can't just sell it yourself. We're going to just freeze it, and we'll see what happens. Now, the game, well, recently this week, I think it was on Friday or Saturday, the game went back up on Steam. And that's because Nacon put it up there, but Frogwares had nothing to do with it. They figured out, they downloaded it and accessed it with their unique login keys and that sort of stuff, and found out that it was an older version that must have been pirated and hacked open so that they could exploit it. And there are a few different changes, like logos were put in different places, adverts for Frogwares other games weren't there when they should have been, and Frogwares released a whole video on it. It was like 10 minutes long or something, explaining this is our one, this is this one, this is our one, this is this one, this is what they did, this is how we found it, and it was quite in detail, and it was quite very convincing that they figured it out like that. Then the update from, I think it was yesterday, Frogwares DMCA'd Steam, and Steam responded by taking the game down, which is incredible because DMCAs are almost always just abused, whereas in this case it actually seems like copyrighted material was taken and used for profit by someone who doesn't own it. Now, the latest update is that Nacon, the publisher, who again allegedly pirated the game and tried to resell it, has made a statement, and it's not particularly interesting. It's kind of just a PR statement, and it's them trying to say, we didn't do anything that we've been accused of, we're totally fine. But I don't think it's very good because they don't give a lot of explanations. It's just kind of...
It's more like a legal placeholder than anything.
Yeah. Whereas Frogwares' statement was huge. So there was the video and a 2,000-word blog post with loads of detail, and it felt a bit more like a human being wrote it, like they're actually in trouble. Because they're only a little developer. They've only really done The Sinking City as their own IP, and then they've worked on a bunch of different Sherlock Holmes games, which have had like middling success. Some people really like them, but they're by no means like mainstream or anything. Okay, so the statement from Nacon, I'll read through it. It's not particularly interesting, so you might kind of glaze over it. It's just very flatly worded. It's quite soulless.
It's legal jargon is what it is. It's
exactly.
It's just a lawyer has prepared it for them and they've published it.
They don't even sign off. It just right of reply from Nacon following Frogwares allegations. Frogwares published an article on March 1st, 2021, which was that Monday? Yeah, I think that was Monday. Maybe, I can't remember. Accusing Nacon of having pirated, in inverted commas, the game The Sinking City. Nacon hereby wishes to set the record straight regarding these unjustified accusations. Nacon is contractually the sole exclusive distributor of the Sinking City game on Steam. The big point of this is that it is only on Steam. Steam is where they are having the problems. You can buy it on other stores, that's fine, on different platforms, that's totally cool, but the Steam one is the one that's causing problems. Nacon has contributed to the financing of development and the payment of royalties to Frogwares to the tune of 8.9 million euros to date, including the full payment for a version of the game for Steam, making the global investment far above 10 million euros when integrating the marketing costs. Contrary to Frogwares' allegations, Nacon has paid all amounts due. Today, unless Frogwares is acting in bad faith, it has no reason to make the game available to Nacon on Steam. In the past, Frogwares has improperly relied on accusations regarding a lack of payment to refuse delivery of the game on Steam, at which point they tried to unsuccessfully terminate the contract. The Paris Court of Appeal deemed this action, in quotes, manifestly unlawful, ordering the continuation of the contract and encouraging Frogwares to refrain from, again in quotes, refrain from any action which would impede such continuation.
Just pause there a second, and so it's important just to digest that a bit, because this has been through the courts already, and for the Paris Court of Appeal to have already ruled in the favour of Nacon to allow them to continue, saying that They've done nothing wrong. They've paid all the royalties, and that's what the crux of this is that Frogwares claim they haven't received all that money, which is 8.9 million, and or they haven't paid in time, because obviously there might be a payment schedule. I don't know, but that's where the conflict arises. This Court of Appeal says they haven't done anything wrong. Let them sell the game on Steam.
Well, part of the court battle, well, rather the counter sue, I guess you'd say, it was Frogwares pulled it down because they have this dispute with Nacon, and then the courts forced them to put it back, or like was said you can't take it down, it has to go back. So that's the like hard decision. I don't think there was a proper decision on the royalty situation or anything like that yet, anyway, because these things take ages to go through, and especially for a small development team, they're not going to have all the money in the world to be able to sort this sort of thing out. Where
in line with the courts?
Lost my place. Oh, there we go. In line with the court's decision, Nacon has repeatedly and unsuccessfully requested that Frogwares make the game available on Steam, failing which it would apply a clause in the contract wherein such a clause, the game would be adapted by a third party. So that's them covering their ass, saying, in our contract, if you didn't do it, we could do it with someone else, which is what they are accused of. Like Frogwares accused a specific person from a specific development studio, which Nacon recently acquired, of doing the hacking and cracking the game and doing all the internal stuff. Frogwares then attempted, without knowledge of Nacon and in violation of our rights, to make the game available on Steam without mentioning Nacon in its capacity as the publisher. This is, therefore, clear proof that no technical impossibility prevents the game from being put back on Steam. I think clear proof is rather a stretch, because you've just said something. Just saying things isn't proof, I wouldn't say. Despite this blocking situation created exclusively by Frogwares, Nacon has allowed players to access the game on Steam while still expressly indicating the ownership of Frogwares' rights to the game. Frogwares will also receive the royalties generated by Steam sales. By encouraging the gaming community via Twitter not to buy the game on Steam, Frogwares is once again sabotaging our investments in the game. So Frogwares has made this very, very public. They've did the YouTube video, the post, and they've shared it on Twitter. They're making sure, justifiably or not, that gamers will see it and they will rally the community. Like, Nacon could have done that as well. Maybe it's a dirty tactic, but it's one that works. That's for sure. There's a couple more lines. Nacon obviously regrets this conflict, for which it is not responsible, and for which it did everything possible to avoid. I love that line. I love it. We regret that this conflict's happened, but it's totally not our fucking fault, dog. Like, leave us out. We regret it. I'm so sorry, but it's nothing to do with me.
I mean, my 11-year-old, 12-year-old daughter and my 9-year-old daughter, their mantra literally is, "It's not my fault." Like, anything. I'm sorry. Anything they do, anything they say, anything that should have consequences to a regular adult or human being, whenever you do something, there's consequences, right? However, my girls try and get out of it by saying, "It's not my fault," so much so that I've developed this song that I sing in mockery of them every time they use it. And it's just so funny that that's literally what these guys are saying. "It's not my fault." Yeah. It's like these are grown adults in a legal conflict, and they're just saying, "It's not my fault." Okay, I'm not sure that works. It doesn't work for my 12-year-old or my 9-year-old daughters. I'm not sure that will work in this instance either.
I mean, maybe the Paris courts work differently, and you can just walk in. It's like, "Your Honour, sorry,
it's not my fault.
It wasn't my fault, yeah." All right, we're almost done now. Nacon regrets all the more that Frogwares has demanded the withdrawal of the game from Steam, thus depriving the community of the unique experience provided by this sinking city. See, we're sorry because of you, the people.
Yeah.
Nacon reserves the right to take legal action against Frogwares for its aggressive and prejudicial comments. Frogwares has been careful not to indicate that all court decisions in the dispute between Nacon and Frogwares have thus far been favourable to Nacon. And that's it. It just ends.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like there was probably going to be another sentence or even just a sign off, but no, it's a
legal response, is what it is.
Yeah.
I think the interesting thing for me is that they're saying in here, despite the situation completely created exclusively by Frogwares, like it's not our fault. has allowed players to access the game's expressly indicating ownership of Frogwares' rights to the game. Frogwares will also receive the royalties generated by Steam sales. So Frogwares are literally shooting themselves in the foot, or that's probably the wrong term. They're losing royalties by telling people not to purchase the game on Steam because they are due royalties.
They're willing
it's
to
not
lose
like
money
they're
for
not
it.
going to see any benefit from people buying on Steam. They will see the benefit of people buying on Steam. So there's obviously something worth more to them than than the royalties owed by people buying it on Steam. There's more at stake for them.
See, this conflict kind of first kicked off publicly sometime last year. I think summer-ish, like around August, but I can't quite remember. And the crux of that was a dispute over ownership because Frogwares said when they went into the agreement with Nacon that they would own the IP and it's just a financing distribution kind of thing, whereas Nacon believed that they owned it and would then, and I'm not entirely sure, but I'm quite sure that Nacon tried to buy them out or just buy the studio outright. 'Cause they hoovered up a few other ones so that they then own everything they do. And the thing is, Frogwares has had trouble with other publishers, not Nacon, because I can't remember who does their Sherlock Holmes games, but there's a huge thing going on there where they've done more or less the same thing of thinking they own it when the publisher thinks they own it. So there's a dispute there and they have to get the courts involved. Because it's happened a couple of times, part of me is like, maybe Frogwares just fucked up in signing their contracts, or they actually just didn't read it properly or something. But at the same time, I can very easily see well, this isn't a huge publisher, but it's still it's bigger than a little developer studio. I can easily see publishers writing it in such a way to make it confusing, because all contracts are deliberately obfuscated so that you don't really know what you're getting into. No one reads terms and conditions. It's such a meme. But yeah, I could very easily see a publisher trying to just put a little bit of shadow on them so that they maybe sign away something that they didn't quite want to originally. But if it is signed, if it is in their contract, that's kind of the end of it.
It is, and that's the bottom line is that the courts will decide who owns what and what royalties are due. It's just a shame that this is affecting mid-sized independent developers such as Frogwares in such a way. I mean, I don't know where to attribute the blame myself. I'm going to remain impartial. But for players who want to play it on Steam, they're not able to now. So it's a loss for the gamers, I guess. You could buy it on Epic Store if you were that way inclined. But you could have done a couple of years ago. I don't actually know when it was released, but you could have done it before today anyway. So it's just a shame. The courts will decide, and then it's just a he said she said thing. I'm sure somebody regrets signing something somewhere, that's for sure. And whether they did on behalf of somebody else who now is not happy, that's probably a likely scenario in my eyes, is that someone decided it's fine, we'll sign it all the way, and then his boss said hang on a minute, you probably shouldn't have signed that.
I mean, in these sorts of things, I will almost always come down on the side of the little guy rather than the big publisher. But I like to think I made it clear in the video that you can't confirm any of this. I don't know any of it to be true, but I do believe that I'm more likely to side with Frogwares, let's put it that way. But then if I'm wrong, if it turns out they fucked it up, then screw them. If they are the ones in the wrong, then they're the ones in the wrong, and then
there's definitely a mix-up of communication somewhere, which is basically the root of all
for sure.
conflict, is not enough good communication. And these another point is that Nacon aren't a huge publisher either. They're not enormous. They're a small independent publishing company too. So I don't know whether they're just trying to pull a fast one. The courts, the Court of Appeal in Paris apparently has ruled in their favour in the past. I don't know where this is going to lie. And obviously, this isn't the end of the story either. So this is a story that's been going on for months, if not years already. So thus, there it is. I don't think I've got much else to comment on that, Henry, if you're good.
No, I mean, beyond my excellently worded title, I think we're more or less.
I think that's the highlight of this whole story, to be honest, is Henry fucking up that title.
I mean, we've said it before. If you make one kind of glaring error, then everyone will comment on it, say, "Oh, you little dickhead, you got that wrong," and then then you get a bunch more engagement. So it's a win.
What I want you to do, Henry, for every video you produce in future, get the name of the game wrong in like the first 5 minutes or something, or just say the name wrong of the game and see how many comments you get. This is an experiment.
Especially with like 3-word names like that, The Sinking City. Just change it to The City Sinking or something
City
like
Sinking.
that. Or A Sinking
That's
City.
It, yeah. Do it, Henry. I want you to. Please, do it. Do it accidentally on purpose. And with that, let's move on to the community section of the podcast, which is brought to you by the Patreon community support and the YouTube community support. So if you want to get early access to this podcast by a couple of days, if you want to get access to the Patreon-only section of the Discord, and if you want to ask us questions in the podcast, head over to patreon.com/prettygoodgaming, and for as little as $1 a month, all those things could be yours. And those of you who have signed up over the last week include Tyrone Mixon, who's pledged $1 per month. Thank you very much, Tyrone. And Angel of Nature 40, another $1 pledge. Every single dollar helps. Every single dollar counts. We could not continue to produce content on this channel without your support. So we do thank everybody. Always, we are eternally grateful for your support. If you have a mind to support our content, if you like it, if you want to see us continue, please head over to patreon.com/prettygoodgaming, or just join up on YouTube. You can click the join button and you can support us there too. So without much further ado, let's jump into the questions this week put to us by our faithful supporters on the Patreon Discord. First up, Marcus Hicks. Do you want to take this question, Henry?
Okay, I get a medium-sized one to begin with, not a huge paragraph this time. Okay, Marcus Hicks. I have a question for this week's podcast. Given that Hardsuit Labs has been kicked off development of Bloodlines 2, Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2, recently the publisher has basically sacked the developer. The game is still supposedly coming, but it's all but cancelled. It's kind of on hiatus while they find someone else. The question is, which developer would you most like to see take over, no matter how unlikely your choice might be, and why? On a related note, how much of the existing game do you think a new developer is likely to retain?
Good question.
So my kind of default answer is just give it to Obsidian, because most of the folks, well, not most of, but a lot of the like key leadership at Obsidian are former Troika developers, and Troika did the original one, so they already, have the world in their head. They know the fundamentals of the systems and stuff. The only kind of sort of downside to that, or thing that makes it much more unlikely, is that Obsidian is owned by Microsoft, so that's almost certainly not going to happen. But they seem like the shoe-in for that role to me.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think I'm not invested enough in the series. I
didn't play the original. I just thought this one looked really cool.
It does look cool. I mean, whoever, just pick a developer that's in line with your aims for the game. It doesn't really matter. I think Obsidian would be great. Any RPG that needs a developer, Obsidian. Throw Obsidian into it.
Basically.
Let's all. Let's just clone Obsidian and just make them the developers of RPGs throughout the world. And so this is the interesting part of the question for me. How much of the existing game do you think a new developer is likely to retain? This is very tricky. I think any developer coming into a project halfway through, I mean, from my understanding of how game development works, it's going to be such a difficult task getting to grips with where people were work in progress, and trying not only like, because they had a vision, right? They were working towards a goal with the previous team, and now this new team is going to have a new goal. They're going to work towards a new image or a new ambition with the game, and they're just going to have to use what they can of the old stuff. It's almost like restarting. Honestly, I think that if basically back to the drawing board in terms of, I mean, maybe you can keep some of the character work and some of the artwork and some of the core of the engine. Maybe that's all good, but I think coming from the top as a manager, you'd have to say, we've got to start with the vision of what we want the game to be, and then work our way back. Whatever we can use, we'll use it. But if it doesn't fit with our vision and what we want the game to be, it has to be scrapped, and we have to redo it. And I think that is the reason why this game will not be out for a long time, in my opinion. I might be wrong. They might be already halfway down the track and be heading towards the destination that they wanted to be in the first place. They just didn't have faith in the developer. I think that would be very unlikely. I think that they will have to change a hell of a lot, if not most of it, other than some of the character designs or whatever, some of the animation.
Yeah.
That would be my guess.
And that's the thing, pretty much all production is going to be thrown up in the air. Any sort of writing or story-based stuff that they're happy with, they can probably maintain, because that's not so much influenced by gameplay. But this is why picking the developer is such a tricky decision for who is it? Paradox Interactive are the publisher, because they've got to either decide, let's go for someone completely fresh, we can start like clean slate and pick and choose the assets we like and carry those forwards, or try and salvage what we have and find a developer who is of a similar ability, similar like skill set, and they have the same kind of tools available to them. They use the same software, and try and remold it and kind of reshape it. So it's either continue and try and build on it, or just scrap it and start over basically from scratch. I think they should do the latter. It just seems to just put it on the back burner and let it figure out what you want it to be again. Like you said, find what your vision is, what you really want to achieve with it, and then figure out the developer who's right for that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's difficult. We don't know how far they are along the development process and how much they want to redo it, and what essentially was wrong with the original production that made them decide to ditch the production studio. Like that, all those questions are unanswered, so it's very difficult to gauge it. But I would say it would be very surprising if they didn't ditch a lot, that's for sure. So thanks for your question, Mr. Marcus Hicks. Let's move on to Durlock, who has the second question. The PPG community, the PGG community, don't you mean, Mr. Durlock? But I'll let that one slide. Was pretty engaged with the Outriders demo, but the game does not come out until April. We all agree demos are pretty good, winky face. It's still a full month away. In 2 weeks, engagement might be dead. Do you guys think the demo was released too early?
So, I really enjoyed the demo. I haven't really played with anyone yet. I've played 3 of the 4 classes because I've been trying to get one of my mates to get on it, but we can't find a time that works. The demo is not really for us. It's for investors and shareholders and people who have been putting money in. So they've released it to see what engagement is like. I don't think they're too interested in kind of trying to maintain. I mean, obviously they want to maintain it a bit, but they've put it out now. Square Enix have released it now so that they can see how much of an interest there is, and then how much work they've got to do on upgrading their servers, and how much jank they can get away with, because there's no way it's going to be free of any bugs. The demo itself has a fair few. Like the frame rate was way all over the place, dropping from 144 down to a 30 FPS cutscene is jarring as fuck. But yeah, it's not really for us, is the point I'm trying to make. It's so they're not too worried about engagement falling off, because they expect it to come back once they actually launch the game. If that makes sense.
I wouldn't expect it to be to affect it too negatively. I think if people are invested in it, they'll wait a few weeks. It's almost like getting a new game, and then if you're playing enough to enjoy it, and then hearing that there's a huge content drop coming a few weeks after launch, you're still interested, whether it's 2 weeks or 4 weeks down the line. I think people who want to, I think maybe, you might miss out on a few impulse buys. The people who might otherwise find something else of interest in the meantime and just forget about the fact that it's there. Maybe it's a good point. But I think that people who want to buy it, I mean, you can still pre-order it. I mean, and people do.
The people will have locked in their pre-orders already. Like from that demo, like I enjoyed it. I've not pre-ordered it or anything, but a lot of people will be like, "Oh yeah, this is cool." There's a pre-order button on like the homepage. Just
you could argue that given more time in early access, or having the demo being available for longer before launch, that there'll be more people who do pre-order because there's more time. So you can argue it both ways, I think, but I don't think it should negatively impact the sales.
And it's been a good opportunity for some good press. Like the biggest downside of it that I've seen and I kind of agree with is that it's kind of generic. Like the story's not particularly outstanding. The world's kind of like brown, and it is Gears of War with superpowers thankfully I've really enjoyed that kind of gameplay. But a lot of people have been like, yeah, it's pretty cool. Like, that it's not wildly negative or anything like a lot of these games can be at launch. So that's good. Like, people are enjoying it, and then they can take that fact, well, that opinion, I suppose, those responses. That's the word. And take it to their shareholders and be like, look, people like it. Now this will alter our projections a little bit. Now you give us a little bit more money here, and then we'll do this. So it's way more for them than it is for us, I think, anyway.
There you go. Thanks for the question, Durlock.
And there is another Durlock question, double question. Conspiracy theory mode on. Anthem Next is binned by EA. Would it be possible EA intends to sell it as Anthem 2 in the future, or change the name, some skins, and voila, isn't it voila? Unless that's a language I'm unfamiliar with. Sell it as a new IP for $60. 100% yes, I could so easily see EA plucking out little different mechanics and putting them in elsewhere. Like, just the flying they got right. That felt cool. Flying around in a robot suit, that was awesome. So they can just take that and be like, oh, there's a new Mass Effect game. You're going to explore a planet. Let's give you a jetpack. Let's give you a robot suit that you can fly around in. Just something like that.
Yeah. Anthem 2, yeah, definitely wouldn't be surprised. I mean, people would be upset, I guess, because Anthem should still be allowed, because it's a game as a service. It wouldn't be a big hoo-ha if it was Anthem 2, if Anthem, the original one, wasn't a game as a service. It was just a regular game. But ditching the support of a supposedly service-based game in order to just work on a sequel, that would get a lot of people upset, I think. I wouldn't put it past EA for sure. That's definitely been on the table at some point, or been discussed in a boardroom, or might even be in the works as it stands. I would not be surprised. So, yeah, thanks for the double question this week, Durlock. Actually, there's another question, so it's a triple one in a while, but we'll get to that. First up, Marcus Hicks asks, going to be greedy and ask a second question this week, you greedy bastard. Of all the games you have played, which game's ending were you most disappointed with, and which did you love the most? All right, Henry. I don't know if you've finished Mass Effect 3 yet. Do not say Mass Effect 3, because that's the most generic answer to a bad game ending, which obviously takes my answer off the table too. So I'm gonna have to think on my feet too. But which did you like the most? Which did you like the least?
I really can't think. I'm literally just going to Google list of bad game endings and see if there's any that prompt me, because I can't really remember.
I think my favourite game ending was The Last of Us, the original Last of Us. Again, it's probably another generic choice.
Oh, yeah, that's a safe answer.
But I did like the last... I mean, I've talked about it before on a podcast, but just the way that it ended on ambiguity, whether she knew or whether she believed him about whether all it was just a bit of a cliffhanger ending, and it should have ended there. That's where Last of Us should have ended, but then they made The Last of Us 2 and ruined everything in my eyes. Narratively completely destroyed it.
Oh, here we go. Now come the comments. Let's have at it. Well, so this list, there's a few on here that I'm like, yeah, that was kind of shit, but I didn't hate it. Like, I think saying it's the worst is very strong. Like, one here, this is a list by The Gamer, which is 20 worst video game endings ever and 10 of the best of all time, and their thumbnail is Red Dead, so Red Dead 1, so that's obviously among the best. Number 30 is Mass Effect 3, right there and then. Next one is Batman Arkham Asylum, and like, that's not really that bad. It's just the final, so you fight... You're in the asylum and you're about to foil Joker's big plan, and then he turns into this giant monster with this chemical that you've been tracing throughout the whole game, and it's just kind of a stupid boss fight that is the most non-Joker thing ever. Joker's not a big brute force monster. He's a cackling maniac. So I guess but I mean, I feel like I don't feel anything towards it. I just remember playing it, being like, well, that's a bit shit. Like, I wasn't raging about it. I wasn't massively let down. I was just a bit like, oh, like a wet fart. Yeah. Just, I'm glad that's done, I guess. I'd rather not do that again though. But yeah, I can't really think of any that properly broke my heart or I was raging at.
Yeah, I think one that was good, and I think other people felt it was bad, was the original Red Dead Redemption. I loved what happened to John Marston, right?
Who didn't like that?
I loved that, but then you got to take over as Jack, didn't you? And everyone was like, "Oh, don't let me be
true.
Jack."
Jack sucks.
But I liked that. I actually liked it. I liked that they had the balls to do that to the character that you've been connected with this whole time, and that you've lived and breathed. So yes,
I mean, some of this list is pretty whack. Like they've got Alan Wake, the ending to that. I won't spoil it, but it's. I like the ending. It's not like a happy ending though. It's quite a sad ending, and I liked that. So I don't want a happy ending, especially for a game like that, which is very spooky and weird. Yeah. I don't know. I'm sorry, I don't have a.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those questions that everyone has their own
opinions. The Walking
opinions.
Dead's on there. The Walking Dead ending is so good.
That is good. That is true.
Right, yeah, I'm just going to get off this list before I keep reading, and let's move on to a new question.
Thanks, Marcus. And if anyone else has their own answers, leave it down in the comments of this podcast. Thank you very much.
Okay, Tons is next. So Doom 3 just got a VR version, and that would really work. Those dark corridors and slower gameplay. So I got to thinking, older game would you think would work in VR? Personally, I think that the Fable games would also work well in VR. Didn't they do a Fable VR? Am I making that up? I thought they did one on the Kinect.
Did they?
Well, I suppose not VR, but they did one. I can't really remember. My instant answer, it just popped into my head, and it's not anything I'd actually considered before. It was just, that'd be really cool. I'd love to play Halo in VR. I think that'd be awesome. Exploring a Halo ring and having the HUD on your face, because I think that's one thing I thought was cool about Halo is that they've got HUD in the helmet. That makes so much sense because it's not just like a video game thing on your screen. It's like they can see their ammo and their shields and shit. That's really cool. Yeah, Halo I think would be dope.
I think for me, some of the tactical shooter like Rainbow Six or something, the original ones where you're in a fire team and you're running around in first person, like ordering people around. That would be really cool. I'm sure that there's like VR versions of that type of thing out there at the moment. But I think other than that, you're talking, space flight sims or like I think the original. Thinking back to my Amiga days now, it was F6. Was it F18 Interceptor or something? Yeah, F18 Interceptor on the Amiga 500. That'd be cool. Give me the the original F18 Interceptor on the Commodore Amiga. One of my formative games. I definitely enjoy that. And that is it, I guess, for that question. Durlock's third question next. And Alien Fireteam. 3 players co-op isn't too few players. Question mark? Would be cool to have the possibility to play with 5 to 6 players. A proper squad.
I think 3 is like a fine number. 5 to 6 could be cool. But I when I first saw it, I assumed it was 4. Like 4-player co-op seems to be the default in my head. Yeah. I don't know if there's any particular reason for that, but I think 3 is a fine number. I think when you start getting more people, it gets hard to balance it, because if you can't find a proper squad, then you're probably gonna have a real hard time if they can't scale the enemies correctly. Yeah. I think 3 is totally fine.
I mean, especially because 3, right? Destiny's 3. There are a bunch that are 4. I mean, you're thinking, the PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds and all those, those games with that do the old battle royale thing. 4 generally, not always the case, but 4 is the accepted number. But 3, I don't know. It's just the new way to do things, I guess.
I think it works best for like your dynamics. Well, the 3's got to be your minimum for a squad, because otherwise you're just single player or 2-player, and it's not a squad unless there's 3 or more. So I think 3, you get someone who's like a specialist, like someone technical, or like a sniper or a scout type thing. Someone who's kind of all-rounder, like a generic basic guy, jack of all trades. And then you get someone super, super heavy who can just fucking nail the bad guys. Yeah. So I think that works a dream. And I'm really fucking well up for this game. part of me's like, oh, but it's going to be games as a service bullshit. It's going to be whatever. But I don't care. It's an alien game that looks cool as shit, and I can just waste aliens all day long. That's awesome. It looks it's what I need. It's what I've been waiting for. But just don't be Colonial Marines. Keep Randy Pitchford well away from that. Don't let him get his greasy little magic card fingers all over it, and we might get a pretty good game out of it.
Rub his greasy head all over the game. Yeah, get away from it, Randy.
Ugly ass shirts.
Step away from the aliens, Randy.
And that's the thing. On that video, so because it's been such a slow week, I was like, screw it. I'm going to make that the main story because it's a game, and I think it looks cool. Why not? And there's a few...
How dare you be excited for a game, though, Henry? How dare you? Especially Aliens game.
It was a positive sort of take, because I was like, I am excited for it. The thumbnail and title were quite praising of it. And then all the fucking comments were like, yeah, but it could be shit. Yeah, but it could be Aliens, Colonial Marines. And I'm like, see, this is what I get. This is what I get when I do something positive. And then you just get people. And the thing is, I don't even blame them. I don't even blame them, because I would be the fucking exactly the same. Part of me is like, oh, it's gonna be shit, like grumpy little miserable sod. But I'm like, it's Alien. I got to punch like 5 separate Alien memes into it, which was great. Trust me, I had more, but I had to hold back.
Yeah, I think I've had all my excitement for upcoming games just squeezed out of me after Cyberpunk. I think I have no excitement left for upcoming games. I'm just going to stay apathetic towards everything and just take it as it comes from now on in future. I've been bitten once by No Man's Sky. I've been bitten twice. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. So I've been fooled twice. I've had my hopes dashed too many times. I'm just old and jaded, and I'm just too I'm too negative towards the whole industry right now to get excited about an Aliens game, because it can't be anything but a shit cash grab that's just going to not live up to expectations in my old cynical head.
But I'm trying to do the opposite, because I'm such a fucking misery gut cynic most of the time.
You're still young yet, Henry.
No, I've been like an 80-year-old man since I was 8 years old. Shouting at clouds. But I'm trying to let myself get excited more, because like what happens? I get let down. All right, so what? Like I'll move on. I'll get over it. I'm ready to be hurt again, is what I'm saying. Yeah. I'm ready to be let down by an Aliens game that's just trash.
You haven't had your heart broken enough times, Henry.
Exactly. Well, maybe not. Well, if it's awful, then I'll just play Alien Isolation, because Alien Isolation is exquisite. Yeah. And it's a totally different vibe, so I want something.
You make a good point.
And it comes out this year.
You make a good point, though, about being positive about a game. Like, we get criticised all the time about being too negative about this, too negative about that. All we ever do is cover the negative stories. And the one time that you do put something positive, the vast majority of comments are, oh, yeah, but it's an Alien game, don't you know? Like, why be excited about it? Yeah. It's like Colonial Marines. Have you not played Colonial Marines? It's like half the comments. But there you go. We can't win for trying, because
I don't disagree. I'm not saying you're wrong, but just let me have this moment.
Yeah. You realise the conflict and you don't care. You're just going to love it anyway. But thanks for the question, Dilop. Let's move on to Besensakis. Sorry, Besensakis. I'm messing in there. But I got it right in the end. Regarding Dragon Age, any gameplay mechanic you wish to see gone or improved? I personally dislike holding right-click mouse button just to move the camera. I hope they remove this. Not played Dragon Age, so unfortunately.
Yeah, it's a series that pretty much completely passed me by, and I've just been shouting at EA about the games as a service thing for the new one. I really wanted to. What was the one that came out a couple of years ago, and I thought it looked good. Then everyone said it was crap. So I just sort of didn't really...
The new Dragon Age one.
Was it Inquisition, was that it? I think that was it. Like, one of my mates played it, and he was like, yeah, it's cool, but you've got to grind a load of shit. And I was like, oh, no, I'm not going to do that. And then I played The Witcher instead. And so that scratched that RPG itch. But yeah, the only gameplay mechanic I want to see gone is the games as a service elements, which they're doing.
Yeah.
So...
That's good.
Which is actually like a really big deal. I got to that one kind of late, because I didn't do anything on Monday, and then I think I put it in Wednesday's video because I did the Sinking City single video on Tuesday. So I was like, I feel like I'm so late covering this, but there is fucking nothing else going on. So I'm just going to do it anyway.
Thanks for the question, Bez. I fucking this up again. Bez and Sakis. Bez. I can call you Bez.
Seems close enough.
Cheers,
right.
Bez. Let's move on.
Final question, I believe, from Metal Shark. Will people trying to get hold of the Switch Pro become the most popular battle royale of 2021?
Yeah, that's a good shout. That's for sure. You know, you can see it right now. You know, with all the shit, you can't even get hold of a PlayStation 5 for all the scalpers, and we're talking, what are we, 5 months after launch? It's ridiculous. And there's the newspaper, the outlets love it. There's new stock coming in. Like August, stay tuned for 3 a.m. on August. Going to drop another unit of PS5, which is going to be snapped up by a scalper within seconds. So you can wait up all night if you want, just to be disappointed, or but we love it because it'll get you clicking on our article. They don't care. Sony don't care. They're still selling every single thing they put out. Nintendo, they have never cared. They've never cared. They love scalpers. They're selling everything like hotcakes. Look, we've sold out. We've sold everything. They'd love to say that. They'd hate to say, "Oh, we've still got stock. We haven't sold everything just yet." They love the news. The news love it because people click on it. The only people getting shafted are the consumers, as usual. The scalpers love it. The outlets love it. The production facility love it. They're off the feet. The publishers love it. Everyone loves it but us, because we get absolutely scammed.
I mean, when the apocalypse eventually happens, the new world currency will just be, PS5 consoles that people have been hoarding.
Or the shell casings.
I'll trade you.
Trade you a shell.
I'll trade you a PS5 for that one can of beans.
I'll trade you the screw from underneath, which makes it flipped horizontally. That's got to be worth a partial credit. There you have it. Thanks for the comments this week, guys. If you've got a question for next week, leave it in the appropriate channel on the Patreon Discord. And let's move on to the aforementioned not super gushy, just a bit kind comment of the week.
Okay, so I've got one good to go, and it's just that it's not falling over itself trying to say how fabulous we are or anything like that. It's just it's simple, and it's what I wanted to achieve, if that makes sense. So this is from I think it was Friday's video, which was everything in Sony's State of Play, and I think less than 8 minutes, because the full thing was like 30 minutes long and full of a bunch of games which some people said were lame. There were a few good ones in there, but there was no big heavy hitters. Anyway, so this is from Mad26. This is awesome. I desperately wanted a short summary, and there was just a sea of reaction videos. Thanks, Henry. Well, I'm glad you liked it, because I fucking hate reaction videos so much. I can scarcely put it into words how much I hate them. I don't like doing them. I never intend to do them. What bugs me the most is when I search Sony State of Play live stream, and it's going on in, I don't know, 10 minutes, something like that, so I can just get it up and ready and maybe doing something in the background. Sony's fucking stream isn't the top answer. It's some idiot stream thing with some guy sitting there with his face on the screen talking some shit. He's probably eating noodles or something. Like, you get fucking easy views. You're getting more people are watching your stupid face than watching this actual stream, and I just think it's wrong. The main one should be doing the best. Sometimes even big creators like Angry Joe, he'll have even more people watching, and my camera's frozen while I'm ranting, so this is going to be a funny freeze frame. There we go. Let's keep going. I hate it. Like, do it, fine, but I'm never going to watch it. I can't stand it. I don't want to see someone else being like, oh, is it gonna be God of War? Oh no, it wasn't God of War. Oh no, well that's a shame. Oh, I can't. Live chat as well. Get that shit out of my face. It's just I can't. I'm out.
I'm totally on board with you, Henry, and I thought
never doing one.
Yeah, I think we're not young enough.
It's easy content. It's such easy content as well, but I can't bring myself to do it.
But the followers, that's what they want. See, they don't follow.
True.
They don't watch that shit for the news or what's happening. They watch that shit because they're invested in the characters and the streamers and the YouTubers.
It's reality TV. It's reality TV, and I don't want any
It's a surrogate friend, is what it is. It's like I don't have any friends to have these feelings with and sit in the room and be excited with actual real people. So I'm going to get excited with this surrogate friend, this image of somebody who I can be invested in. And he's excited. I'm excited too. Those are human feelings that I can feel, even though I'm sat on my own in my bedroom.
I can see that. I can see that appeal of someone you can you like vibing with, you can chill out with. But part of what annoys me is it's the pantomime effect. Like, oh yes he is, oh no he isn't. Yeah. You get excited on, I'm so excited on screen, and then because it's a stream you obviously play it up and be even more excited. You stand up, you knock your chair over, you spill your drink for a game that maybe you do actually care about. Maybe you are really that excited. But then it gets this kind of fake bubble of enthusiasm of everyone in the comments trying to like, oh my god, I'm so excited too, and that's how hype gets out of hand.
It's a feedback loop, isn't it? I mean, it's like all content online. You do something outrageous enough, you'll get enough attention, and then you need to be outrageous again. It's like again. That's another thing that the kids do all the time. Yeah. It's like again. You have to do the same thing over and over again to keep people happy. So you've got to get extra excited when you've got to get super angry when something bad happens. You've got to get absolutely elated when something amazing happens. Oh my god. Like, and that's all the memes come from with the reaction videos where they're all like screaming, like, ah! It's like, is that really your genuine reaction, or are you doing that for the camera? It's paper thin reality. I don't buy it. People aren't like that in real life, and it's trash. But I'm just an old guy. What do I know?
Yeah. And as for a summary, back to your point about after the fact, like I don't watch reaction videos live, but after the fact, I just want to watch the real stream. And
just want the info.
I want to watch some quick through, and I link everything. Those videos can take ages because I've got to download each trailer or the long one and risk it being not so good quality and then chop it up, like download the whole stream itself. Or do individual trailers. So they take a bit of time to put together, but then I'll link them all for you. So if you're like, oh, this game looks awesome, I'll follow that and watch the trailer yourself, because I'm not giving you each whole thing. Like, what's the one? The martial arts game. I still don't know if it's Shifu, Jifu, or Sifu, because there seems to be Mandarin versus Cantonese versus Japanese, different pronunciations. But that game looks awesome as shit. Like, I when that came up, I was like, this is dope. So if you liked that when you spotted it, just follow the link instead of watching me and my mug in the bottom corner going,
this is amazing.
Losing my marbles. In reality, like I'm inside, I'm like, this looks really cool, but in reality, I'm probably like, nice.
I'd love to see a stream of you just doing that the whole time. Just watching like the most amazing game come on the screen, and Henry just like, he flicks his eyebrows. He must be excited.
And then if it's something crap, just like
that's it, just a little grimace. That's enough. That's enough. People will understand. People will be, and that'd be a stream that I would watch. That's for sure. But thanks for that comment. Let's move on to another positive comment. This was on the podcast last week. The Black Meteor comments. Good video. Thanks. I completely agree with you, Mr. Henry. I've got a very good PC now, just in case you haven't mentioned it yet. Cooper. I've watched dozens of YouTuber gaming news, and you do video gaming news better because it's informative, direct, and at a speed that I don't have to double. Love heart emoji.
Well, thank you. I still double my speed when I'm watching it back to not just edit it through, but just, come on, I don't want to listen to my own fucking voice any longer. But
just more appreciation, and it's good. It shows we're doing the right thing on the channel. It's working. People appreciate it. And we're not just your regular YouTuber schmoes looking for reaction clicks or whatever. Although those would be nice, get a few extra clicks. But no, we've got integrity. We'll stick to what we do.
And it's just so easy. It's just such easy content. I hate it so much. Right, anyway, before I keep ranting about that, we'll take this one going. And there's a few comments of a similar sort of vibe, but about a handful of different things. This is again on the State of Play stream, and it's from Uliot. I'm going to say Uliot, and it says in quotes, Yuffie. And I believe that's trying to suggest that I pronounced Yuffie wrong, because the last game in the state of play was Final Fantasy VII Remake, not Part 2. They're doing some random DLC about a character who doesn't show up in that section. It's more original content that no one asked for when they're meant to be doing the second part or whatever. I mean, it still does look cool, don't get me wrong, like the gameplay looks fun, but anyway, she's not called Yuffie. So many people call her Yuffie. That's not her fucking name. She's not called Yuffie. Listen to the Japanese pronunciation. It's Yuffie. Listen to the English pronunciation in some of the voiced games, like Dirge of Cerberus or in the movie Advent Children. She's called Yuffie. That's her name. Stop calling her Yuffie. That's the end of it. I've had this conversation with real people like, oh no, it's Yuffie because it's got two Fs. I don't give a shit. It's what the character says. That's it. And on a similar note, where are we? Ravaged work. Henry, I get names wrong, Cooper, again. Followed by Peter Clark. Henry, ain't nobody telling me how to pronounce nothing, Cooper. And then, arguably my favourite of this little mini thread, Sig Parvis Magna. I can't believe he called it a video game.
Nice.
Like, ugh.
Video game? What? Oh, you're such a snob. Anyway, I've got a comment on the same kind of lines. Tons commented on the Aliens game. Henry quotes, please let me be positive about an Alien game again. Cooper!
This is what I mean. I'm ready to be hurt again.
And then obviously Peter Clark's middle name's third for Henry. Henry, don't call me ignorant, you little fucking weasel. Gambit, Cooper. And that was in quotes referring to last week's Triggered Fanboy comment of the week, which was got Henry riled up, which was always fun to see. Always fun to see.
Well, while we're with Peter Clark here, where's this comment? So this is on the Sinking City hacked developer by own publisher, corrected to the Sinking City developer hacked by own publisher, or something like that. I commented and pinned it after this hilarious deliberate action to dupe you all. I'm going to pretend that title blunder was deliberate as a metaphor to match the game's theme of insanity. Ha ha ha, I duped you all. I'm so clever and not at all bad at proofreading. A few people commented down, and then Peter Clark comments once, then he comes back again. You come back again and say, wait, so Henry fixed it and there's still a grammatical error in it? That's superb. I spent fucking 10 minutes staring at it and I have no idea what you're talking about. There is no error in the Sinking City developer hacked by its own publisher. Unless you're trying to argue maybe a stylistic thing of the way I capitalize certain words but not others, but I think that's totally fine. If you mean doesn't have a apostrophe if it's possessive, only it's as a contraction has it, and you're fucking me up. What's wrong with that? I don't think there's anything wrong with that, and now I'm second guessing myself. I was so confident in like repairing it, like yeah, that's fine. I checked it. There's nothing wrong with it. You're wrong. That's it. Comment down what was wrong with it, because I need to know.
Clarification needed, please. So just a few comments about you being too excited for another Aliens game. Henry, how dare you? Felipe Carvalho comments, you're hyped for a co-op live service zombie shooter. Oh, this was a bit different. You're hyped for a co-op live service zombie shooter just because the zombies are aliens. Seriously? Now, I'm not sure whether Felipe understands the difference between zombies and aliens, because he seems to think that they're the same. He seems to think that a zombie post-apocalyptic world is the same as fucking aliens, right? Being in space.
Xenomorph aliens.
I don't understand where the connection is brain. If zombies are aliens, what else are zombies? Like, are we talking like other mythical creatures? Are dragons zombies? Are unicorn zombies? Like, what? Where do you draw the line, dude? I mean, that's and he questions seriously. There's like 3 questions in this. He's so adamant that this is the truth. Like, it's just another zombie shooter, just with the aliens are the zombies. This isn't a zombie shooter. This is This is a whole new different world. This is a whole different environment. It's so different to zombies. What are you talking about?
I feel like if you're not a fan of aliens, maybe it's just not going to vibe with you. But I fucking love Aliens. Alien and Aliens are 2 of the best films ever made. And even if it was just a zombie game but with aliens, I'd still fucking vibe it. It's awesome. And so a bunch of Zombies run at you. Yeah, you shoot them. Go for the head. All right. But aliens.
It's different, man.
The aliens. They're bigger. They're faster.
Scarier.
They've got acid blood. They've said they've got 11 types of xenomorphs. We've seen like 4 in the movies. There's going to be so much. There's going to be androids and not just Andrew Wilson. You've got all of the iconic guns that sound like something's got caught in the Hoover, but you keep trying to suck it up. They're all
classic. It is classic. I totally agree with you. On that side note, I'm just going to rattle through these. Anthony comments, why are we pretending this isn't going to be another colonial marines ... And then
because you have no reason to believe it will yet.
Yeah, I think that is it for the aliens. There was a bunch of them. I won't read them all.
Yeah,
but yeah, you're not allowed to be excited for it.
And the thing is, I even acknowledged aliens killing marines in the video. Like, it's not like this is something that didn't cross my mind. I feel like, I mean, it's emblematic of people who don't quite listen or pay enough attention. Now, where's one I just had? All right, on the same note, this is getting a call out just because of how clean the reference was, and I'm mad I didn't think of it myself. So my pinned comment on that aliens video, I'm not even remotely sorry about all the clips for aliens. And then there's a couple more comments that were kind of digging it. And then Sergio Colauti, I'm going to say Colauti. Sergio Colauti, I bet you were bursting to take alien references out of your chest, which I thought was fan-bloody-tastic. Good job. That's a Sergio, wicked comment.
I'm more interested if that's Sergio from the Discord. Let us know. So my last one, it's William Phillips. Oh, you know William Phillips.
Oh, not him.
This old antagonist. So he's been antagonistic, and he says on that same video on the aliens, only thing wrong with Mass Effect Andromeda was how gamers thought they were owed something, and the facial animations made everyone go way into a bitch mode. That's probably because you're all snowflakes and we're becoming woke. And I think I didn't want to put him as Chicken Fanboy Comment of the Week. Obviously,
he's been it before. He's been
in so many times, and I think this is just a boilerplate triggered fanboy comment. If anything, there's no substance to this, Bill. You're gonna have to up your game, dude. Bill Phil, if that is your real name. I mean, calling people snowflakes and because we're becoming woke. That's like you're living in 2017, dude. It's.
And what does anything have to do with facial animations to do with woke? Like, what did their face animate into a? I don't know. I can't even think of a joke. It makes no sense. Like, I can't even meme your sentence because it doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, the only thing wrong with Mass Effect Andromeda is that the gamers were snowflakes and woke, and they were owed things. No, there's not even enough substance to that triggered fanboy comment to make me even warrant getting upset and rebutting it. It's just like there's not enough there's not enough true things in that comment. It's like you've just plucked it out of thin air. So you're just gonna have to try harder, Bill Phil, and then we'll see if you can become the triggered fanboy next week. Try harder. You get a D- for that one, dude. Try harder. And I think that's it for me.
Yeah, I did have one more, but I can't really be asked with it because it's a bit of a negative.
Can't be asked. We'll leave it on that then. So thanks everybody for your comments on all the YouTube videos. And we shall move on to the very last segment, which is the bad dad joke of the week. And in the wake of last week's just loved bad dad joke by Frozen Monkey, I'm going to go with another human one because we've got a bot on the Discord. I'm going to go with Two Shot Tino's contribution this week. Are you ready, Henry?
Let's have at it.
I accidentally rubbed some ketchup in my eye. I now have fantastic hindsight.
Yeah, all right. It's a bit of a stretch.
Yeah, again, leave your bad dad jokes in the Bad Dad Jokes channel on the Discord if you want to get them read out. And that is it. That is your lot for this week. Thanks for watching and supporting. If you do want to support the content, support the channel, make sure that we're able to pay the bills to continue to make content, head over to patreon.com/prettygoodgaming. And from as little as $1 a month, you can get early access to the podcast. You can get your you get shouted out. You get your opportunity to ask a question in the podcast, and you get access to the Patreon-only Discord and our eternal gratitude. So thanks everybody for watching. We will see you again in the next video. From Henry and myself, bye for now.